Very good morning everyone, this is George Beyrouthi from FS Securities, a stockbroking firm here on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. Today I'm going to go through the data from the global markets and tell you exactly where we are. So here we go. First of all, overnight the US Federal released minutes from its latest policy meeting, and it actually drove the stocks up and down all right through the session. Well, at the end, the Dow was down 0.4%, the S&P 500 also down by 0.4%, and so is the Nasdaq. And in Europe, the StoxX 50 index, which comprises most major European markets, was up 0.1%. In London, the FTSE was down nearly 1%, and in Germany, the DAX was up 0.2%. Australian shares futures have turned lower as Wall Street extended losses in the afternoon session, as I mentioned. And we've got 9 points on the downside at the start of trading, according to the futures. That's of course if you believe the futures. In the commodities, gold actually dropped quite a bit last night, nearly $23 to 1,325 US per ounce. Crude oil was down as well in the United States, down 0.7% to $56.77, that's US per barrel. Iron ore had a drop of 1.5% to $86.70, that's US per ton. And aluminium was up 2%, and copper was down 0.4%. The Aussie dollar was down 0.9% lower. We've heard about what happened in China with the coal export into one of the ports. And we'll give you 62.6 euro cents, 54.4 British pence, and 103 New Zealand. Bitcoin down $30 to 3,900, and that converts to approximately 5,500 Australian dollars, down 40 Australian dollars overnight. If you look at the volume, we've had a reasonable volume this week. It's climbing up from 1.5 to nearly 1.9 billion transaction per day. And as you can see here, the advances versus decline, most of the days were actually advancing more than declining. So we've had a good week overall. Now, in terms of the best sector yesterday, we've got the consumer discretionary. That includes the Wesfarmers and JB Hi-Fi, Harvey Norman, etc. was up nearly 4%. The banks had a good day as well, 1.5%. The property also 1.5%. Worst performer was gold. Gold knew that overnight gold price would drop. Metal and mining, BHP, Fortescue, Rio, and so on, were actually on the downside a bit, nearly 1%. And so the material and the resources. This is actually the ASX 200 chart. You can see from the end of December, we've had down from nearly 5,400 to 6,150. That's almost more than 10% climb. Remember the drop that we had before Christmas. Obviously most of that has been recovered. And in my last presentation I told you that that black line here on the chart, it's the 200-day moving average, and once it goes above it, that's a very good sign, and it can continue to be on the upside for quite a while. So it might go up and down, but now that we've gone and we've closed several days above the 200-day moving average, I would say that we are in a positive momentum, and you should really try to avoid going bearish on any of the trades. Last Saturday, this is once a week, we do the weekly forecast for the investor, the conservative trader, aggressive trader, and very aggressive trader. BHP on Sunday or on Monday morning before the market opened were bullish, and so is Newcrest Mines, Rio, Santos, and Woolworths, and Transurban. Of course, that will change when we look at all the weekly forecast at this coming weekend and before the market opens next Monday morning. Well, what happened also, we've got that system at FS Securities where we look at volume and these are the companies that have exceeded the average volume per day. Mirvac, Woodside, Bramble, James Hardie and Ria all had more than the average volume. The average volume takes into consideration 50 days of volume and works out the moving average. And yesterday we've seen that for instance Mirvac had nearly 16 million shares transacted, where the moving average was nearly 12. So one has to really ask the question why. On the downside, we've had AMP had a very high volume. That's nearly 160% of the average volume. So, and it was a day that AMP dropped. So that is actually very negative for AMP. And for the speculator and the gamblers, we've got these companies here. You've got Austral down, actually it was up nearly 300%. Cenex, Superloop, Versus, this is actually a mining company as well. So you may want to actually have a look at these and see which one appeals to you. Or you can talk to us and we'll try to do the research for you. In terms of the top gainers, I only highlight the ones above 10 cents. I'm not interested in Lakes Oil, which is less than 1 cent, so I'm not going to worry about that. Gazelle Corporation, it's a textile company, was up 40%, up $1.72. You need to ask the question, or we need to ask the question, why? Webjet, 31% higher, and so on. So again, we provide that for you for free on the website if you want to actually go there and talk to us. I don't know your financial circumstances, so everything I said today is only of general advice nature only. And before you take any action, please talk to us or your professional advisor. Anyway, finally, if you have any questions, all you have to do is ask. And these are our details on the screen, so take note of it and communicate with us. If you're ringing from overseas or talking to us from overseas, you put 61 for Australia. Don't worry about the 0, it's 61 411 25.